Okay, so here's a really funny story. I'm on this brand new property. I've never been here before. It's about 1,000 acres, bordered on the Mark Twain National Forest on 3 sides, so it's a lot of land to trap on. And where I am is I'm at this gate right here, and there's a 2-track right there. It's a faint little ATV 2-track along this fence that goes that way like a mile, and then there's a 2-track this way about 2 miles, and then obviously there's a 2-track that goes through there and goes back to the left and goes for another 3/4 of a mile. Sorry about the wind, if the wind is blowing. It's windy today, so I don't know how good this is going to show. So I'm looking at this spot going, this has got to be a good spot. But I mean, there's this big field here. You got the 2-track, you got the fence, you got the gate that's left open like this. So you got three little road intersection and the fencing. And then you've got, you know, all this grass and stuff, or these fields, and then this field over here, and then there's a food plot down there on the right for deer. So it's got to be a good spot for coyotes, but I could not find any scat. I'm driving around, I'm looking for scat, I'm looking for tracks, but tracks are really hard to find here because, I mean, look, everything is rock and everything is turf and grass. So, I mean, unless you find a track or are lucky enough to find one like right here in the dirt somewhere, it's hard to find tracks. I couldn't find any scat. And then I'm literally putting in the set. I just decided this has got to be good, even though I can't find any sign. I'm putting in my set, so I'm putting it in a kind of a flashy looking dirt hole right here. And Lord and behold, I look right over here next to this dried cow patty, and what do I find? I find all that scat. I didn't even see it. It was so blended in next to this cow patty and in the grass that I couldn't see it. And unfortunately, where I am, that is a problem. I mean, if a coyote is running along this edge right here and leaves scat in this grass and everything, you can't always see it. You can't always find it. It's not like, you know, it's in New Mexico where you can see it so easy. So sometimes you just have to go with your gut and not worry about sign and just set because you think this has got to be good. Well, now I know it's totally good when I have all this scat here as well. So I went ahead, threw that scat on my set. I got a big fancy dirt hole here, and hopefully, and I've used the windage to blow the scent right through this gate and right across this little road. So hopefully we're going to have a coyote here the next day or so. Okay, on this particular trap, we've got 2-track road that goes up to a big field, and then a 2-track road, and then there's a big field up on top of there, and a big field that's up on top of there, and we're down in this bottom where all these roads kind of come together. So we put a trap right here, and you can see there's a catch circle here. You can see there's blood on the trap, there's blood on the ground. Have no idea what we caught here. Something though. My first tendency is, I've had this happen before, where you catch a fox and then the coyotes come by and eat it, but usually there's parts of it left and there's nothing here. So what this tells me probably, and if I look at the trap, you can see there's some fur right there. This looks to me like a coon, and I'm gonna guess he's probably chewed part of his foot and he's pulled out, and that's what the blood is here. Generally that's what I have when I have this kind of a situation, is it's a coon, and they've trashed the place. But I guess it'll just be more attractive now to other predators. So we'll reset this, we'll deal with this trap, and then we'll move on down the road. Okay, here's the remake on this particular set. We wiped the trap off with just some grass here in the area. Got most of the blood off of it, and then everything else around here has got blood on it. You can see the blood that's still on the back of the trap, or back of the hole back up there. There's some blood over here. I'm just leaving all this, and I left the trap. It'll be fine as is. Redid the dirt hole, just threw a little bit of debris back there on the backing, and then put the trap back in, sifted it all back in. There's this little piece of grass clod right here, which kind of makes it like almost like a little walkthrough like this. So that actually works out pretty good. And you can see anything that's coming down that road from that top hill, anything that's coming that way, that road runs along the creek all the way down to a big deer food plot, or anything that comes this way, we'll be walking right past this. And just so you know, in case someone is asking why am I out here in this truck today, because I had some issues with my trailer yesterday on the way home yesterday afternoon after setting this farm up. Blew a tire going down a big mountain, couldn't get off anywhere. There was nowhere to get off unless I was going to go down in the ditch. Limped it up to a little place that I could actually pull it off, bent the wheel, had to take my side-by-side off, then I had to get the tire and the wheel off the trailer, and it was a kind of a pain to get off. Got the spare on, limped everything back home, and now I've got of course today is Sunday, so tomorrow I'm gonna haul the trailer up to the place not too far from me and have them do some work on it. And I want to check the bearings, and I'm gonna need a new tire and a new wheel. So I'm trapping out of a truck today. Not my favorite thing to do, but on this particular farm and the next 2 or 3 farms I'm going to, I can do everything I need to in a truck. So we're making do with what we're making do with. If I had my side-by-side here, could I get to some other places? Yes, but I don't. So I'm making do. I'm adapting and I'm overcoming. So what we have here is we have this 2-track that's still running this long fence, and there's a big deer food plot just right on the other side of these cedars on the whole open top of the field. And then of course that is brush and all the way down into the canyon. But this fence and this 2-track runs a long way, probably a mile at least, maybe 2 miles. And then this way, you can see the 2-track goes through that little gate, which is open, and goes through the forest, and it just runs for about another half, 3/4 of a mile on this property. And then it kind of disappears into an old road that runs through the Mark Twain National Forest. So if you drive all the way, it's like a UTV road, but if you drive all the way, it's several miles. So good travel way for these coyotes, and had a good set right here. And as you see, we got a good commitment on a grinner. Nothing like a grinner to tear up our good coyote set. But this place has never really been trapped before. The farmer or the landowner said that he had a guy that came in here last year and trapped, but didn't really catch much. And I found it interesting, not that this has to be the case, but there's about 1,000 acres that sits here, plus you got Mark Twain National Forest on 3 sides. And he told the landowner that he put out 5 traps last year, and man, this is not out west, this is the Ozarks. There's so many travel ways. I just don't know how you're gonna cover mostly anything with 5 traps on this particular property. I've got, I think, 10 traps here. I'm gonna put in a 2 or 3 more today, I think, but I think probably around 15-ish would give me a pretty good idea of what's here and everything. But 5, I don't know how 5 is gonna work. So we're gonna take care of this grinner, reset this, and then we'll move on. Okay, here's the remake from the grinner. I just, the hole was mostly intact. I just took the debris out of it with my drill and auger, and I kicked some of the leaves that were in a big giant pile that he was all basically laying in, and I just kicked them to the back and just basically redid everything. And now you can see anything that's walking down this little 2-track is going to definitely see this. I rebaited it, I relured it. I didn't do anything else as far as urine or anything. It smells like a possum, so I'm just letting it smell like a possum. And hopefully in the next day or so, we're gonna have coyotes sitting here, and hopefully it's not a mangy one. It's a good one with some good fur. Okay, first check day on this new property. We just set this up yesterday. And what we have here is we have a 2-track that's going down this hedgerow here. Goes way far that way and way far this way, like 3 mountains over. And then there's also a 2-track that goes down into this canyon down in there. And it splits off down in there, and there's roads that go back and forth all through there. So what we did is right here where you've got this 2-track and this 2-track that comes up right here in this little intersection, we got that fence here. They got this big field. We put a dirt hole in right here and caught this coyote. He's an old coyote, kind of rough looking. Been in a bunch of fights, it looks like, and he's pretty rough looking. I can't quite tell how good of his fur is, but this old coyote has been around a while, that's for sure. So we're gonna take care of this coyote and move on. This is only like the second trap we've checked on this new property, so we got about a dozen more to go before we move on and go to the next one. Okay, here's the remake on this coyote set. You can see kind of the catch circle here in the leaves. The dirt hole was still mostly intact, but the backing was pretty much destroyed. So I just threw a little bit of dirt and a little bit of debris on the backing and put the trap back in there, bedded it as normal, and then tried to kind of blend it in with just some dirt that was here in the area and some debris that was here in the area, and that's it. Bait, lure, no urine. Already smells like a coyote here. And this was a female, so I'm not that worried about the catch circles scaring off other coyotes. I think that if it was like a big alpha male, I'd put another set right here on the edge somewhere and have 2 working here. But since it's a female, I'm going to go ahead and just reset this and just move on. I think this will be totally attractive. And then I have another set down that way, a ways, pretty far actually, maybe a quarter to half a mile on this fence, and that's where I caught a possum. And then I have another set up at the top of this hill right here that's only probably about 70 yards away, and that's where there's a 3-way intersection with a gate, and that's where I found that big pile of scat yesterday and stuff. So I'm gonna that trap right there is fairly close, so I'm hoping I'm gonna have a double here pretty soon, one right here and one right up there. Okay, I'm putting in a few more sets today, and what I got here is I've got a fence with this is the edge of the property. I don't have permission over there on that side, but you can see how thick and nasty it is over there, just all brambles and whatever. There's cows right there, and there's a hot wire fence that splits this little field, and you can see there's just a slight 2-track that runs down through here. And then over on this side, you can see this long fence that runs down through this field, and there's a slight 2-track right here. And then this fence on this corner, this is an outside edge corner, and it runs all the way down into the bottom and keeps on running. And then there's like a dozer deck area down there, and I got a couple traps set down in there in the bottom along the creek around the dozer deck. And where the fences, there's another cross fence, there's 2 cross fences, the main fence and the dozer decks all come together down there. So what I've done here on this outside edge is, because I've got this long fence row and this long fence row, that long fence row, and all the brambles over there and the 2 tracks, I went ahead and put a double set in here. Right here I've got a dirt hole using that piece of sage as a backer, and of course I've made this flashy. You can see all the dirt that's scattered out there. I sifted dirt all around the front, just made it look real flashy, like something's really dug a big hole there. Baited that thing up, and then over here on this edge right here, you can see there's the 2-track. Right here I've got a flat set I put in. hopefully you can't even see where the flat set is, other than I have some scat there on the far left edge. And I've got that lured up and urined up with some scat, and right there's the trap, and right here's the piece of sage I'm using as a backer. And I think that anything that comes down through here or comes around this outside edge corner is going to catch that, or hopefully catch that, and the wind will also drag it across. So I'm using the wind, and I'm using the outside edge, and I'm using where all this stuff comes together. Okay, so what I got here is I got this open field. There is some electric fence along the edge here with this 2-track road, and then there's this kind of hedgerow right here, and then as you can see there's this really main trail right here, and then it cuts off and there's a secondary little trail right here. And as we follow this along, this is really a game trail. It's not, cows aren't using it, doesn't look like. Cows aren't even in here at the moment. But as you can see, there's a big power line right here, and it's all grown up, got thick brush and everything. And this little game trail keeps on going right over here to the edge of all this thickness, and it runs along the edge of the electric fence. And you can see the game trail going right down the electric fence along all this nastiness and brush and brambles and whatever, with another open field right here. So, and then right here where my truck is the little open gate where the 2-track goes through. So we basically got a power line, a 2-track that runs through the gate right here, but there's not a gate there. It's just between the 2 posts. They've removed the gate, so there's no gate there. And then we've got these 2 game trails that are crossing. Here's a secondary game trail right there. And then you got this main one right here that runs over to where this secondary one is. And all they're doing is, when they're going that way, they're using that trail and going down the fence line along the edge of the brush. This one, they're going through the open gate on out into that field and just following the fence on down that way. And I got a trap farther down that way on the outside edge. But I'm also going to put a trap right here, because you got the 2-track, the little gate, this trail, and this edge all coming together, not to mention the power line. So we're going to put a trap right here in this corner. We're probably going to put it right here, because then the wind carries it over that way, carries it that way, and carries it that way. So really anything coming down this 2-track, across the power line, or coming up these trails, or even over in there, ought to be able to windage our set, I hope. We'll see. Okay, I hope you can hear this with the wind. The wind is really kicking up. But here's the final set. This flat set's in the shadow, but that's where my lure is. I have a little punch hole I put on each side, and then that's where my trap is, kind of blended in. And here is the trails, and of course everything else you already saw. So that's where I'm at, and the wind is taking it toward that direction and toward that direction. So we should be able to windage it from here.